But it was Wednesday. Oh, no.
That's the one you're...
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's regular meeting of the Woburn City Council of January 20th, 2026. Before the meeting begins, please silence your cell phones and note that this meeting is being recorded. For those that are able, please stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chair, if you could call the roll, please.
Council Mara.
Present.
Council Demers.
Present.
Council Dillon.
Present.
Council DeMambro.
Present.
Council Ferrulo.
Present.
Council Mercer Bruin.
Present.
Council Papalato.
Present.
Council Viola.
Present.
President Toro.
Present.
Make a motion to dispense with the reading of the previous meeting's journal and approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
First item on the agenda is an order authorizing the mayor to enter into a water line easement with Mill Street Gardens LLC. A communication dated January 7th, 2026 was received from Mark J. Savati, the city solicitor, regarding water line easement Mill Street.
Make a motion that the communication be received and made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I believe...
Motion carries.
And I also believe that the attorney for the Mill Street Gardens is actually here.
Attorney Jesse Schomer.
You would need to...
Make a motion to suspend the rules to allow the petitioner's representation to speak.
Second.
Motion and a second to suspend the rules to allow for the petitioner to speak. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Good evening, councilors. My name is Attorney Jesse Schomer, law firm Corpy in Boston. I'm just here tonight to answer any questions that the councilors may have about the water line easement. If any.
Any questions from the council? Seeing none.
I'll make a motion to return to the regular order of business.
Second.
Motion and a second to return to the regular order of business. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion that the order be adopted.
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is the order that the sum of $1,421,588 be transferred from the stabilization fund account to Fire Pierce 100-foot aerial truck account.
Make a motion the matter be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda under new petitions is a petition by the City of Woburn for a special event permit for a road race to raise awareness for substance abuse and mental health issues at Hon Pond and area streets on May 31st, 2026.
Make a motion the special event permit be granted.
Second.
Motion and a second to grant the special event permit. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item is a petition by NSTAR Electric Company for grant application to install approximately 114 feet of conduit in Winter Road.
Make a motion that the matter be referred to a public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to refer the matter to a public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item is by Cellco Partnership DBA Verizon Wireless for a grant application to attach a small cell antenna and supporting equipment to an existing pole at 155 New Boston Street.
Same action.
Second.
Motion and a second to refer to a public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item is another petition by Cellco Partnership for a grant application to attach a small cell antenna and supporting equipment on existing pole at 14 Industrial Way.
Make a motion the matter be referred to a public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to refer to a public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is a petition by Aaron Banker for a special permit to build an accessory structure greater than 900 square feet with garage doors more than 8 feet in height at 108 Arlington Road.
Same action.
Second.
Motion and second to refer to a public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is a petition by HDR Holdings LLCs for a special permit with site plan approval under Section 5.129 and Section 12 for a reuse of an existing tenant space to a 12-seat fast casual restaurant at 103 Commerce Way. A committee report from the Committee on Special Permits received Ottabas with conditions, and those are the communications.
Make a motion that we receive the communications and make them part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
If you could just give me one moment, please.
Yep. You're all set, Madam Chair?
I don't know if the attorney has anything to say, or... Okay. I believe, still have to open the public hearing, but I believe Council Viola had an amendment to the conditions in front of you.
Council Viola?
Thank you, Mr. President. Attorney Vaughn, I'd like to amend number 2 to take out the last sentence that states, "Quarterly reports shall be sent to the Board of Health and Inspectional Services."
Okay, that's fine with me, yes, thanks.
I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So do we have a motion
Make a
to...
motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Anyone here that would like to speak on this matter, please step forward. Seeing no one.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a mo, go ahead, Madam Alderman.
Make a motion that the special permit be granted with the 5 conditions as amended this evening.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to grant the special permit with the conditions. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Attorney
Thank
Blunt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Attorney Vaughn.
luck.
Appreciate it, thanks.
Next item on the agenda is petition by Site One Landscape LLC for a special permit under section 5.1 of subsection 43, section 57B, and section 7.3 for the following: the interior and exterior accessory storage of landscape products, supplies, and tools, the overnight storage of 2 commercial vehicles, and the continued use of non-conforming structure and parking spaces for a business service and business sales establishment under section 5.1. 27 at 31 6 Road. A communication dated December 29th was received from Thomas Quinn, the building commissioner. Further communication dated January 14th, 2026, was received from John Cashow, the planning director. In addition, not on the extended agenda was an additional site plan was submitted today from Allen and Major Associates, entitled Site Plans for Site 1 Landscape Supply, 31 6 Road, map 14, lot 15-01, Mass 01801, dated January 20th, 2026.
Make a motion that communications be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Attorney Tarby.
Good evening. For the record, Attorney Joseph Tabby, Woburn and Redmond, 500 Unicorn Park Drive in Woburn. Here on behalf of Site One Landscape Supply LLC, the petitioner. With me this evening is Dave Robinson of Allen and Major, David Slack of Site One. So petitioner is seeking special permits under section 5.143, 5.157B, and section 7.3 to allow for the use of 31 6th Avenue for business, service, and sales establishment, interior and exterior accessory storage of landscape products, supplies, and tools, and the overnight parking of 2 commercial vehicles. The property is located in the IP zoning district, which allows the principal use as a matter of right, but requires a special permit for the overnight parking of the commercial vehicles and the exterior storage of the landscape products. The property at 6 Road contains 1.08 acres. There's a 2-story building on the property that was constructed 1977, containing approximately 16,120 square feet of net floor area, with 9,240 square feet on the first floor and 6,870 square feet on the second floor. So the petitioner has operated its business at 21 Wheeling Avenue off of Olympia Avenue since 2011 and is looking to relocate to 31 6th Avenue. So the petitioner operates a landscape supply business selling landscape supplies such as gloves, shovels, rakes, landscape lighting, drainage boxes, herbicides, etc. No restricted chemicals are sold at this location. All liquids are stored inside, and the outside storage will consist of plastic boxes and pipes. And petitioner proposes to park 2 one-ton pickup trucks overnight on the premises. There's sufficient space on the site for the commercial vehicles. 6 vehicles are required for the petitioner's use, including the 2 commercial vehicles, and there are a total of 18 vehicles shown on the site plan. Petitioner will occupy the entire building, and there'll be 3 full-time employees will work from this building. So as you know, the planning board on January 14th issued its comments. They had no issues with the proposal. And what I'd like to do at this time is have Dave Robinson take you through the site plan, then we can answer whatever questions you may have. So, David?
David Robinson, Allen and Major Associates. We're the record land surveyors and civil engineers for the petition before you. As you know, the site is developed with paved parking, a building, and basically we're just doing some minor site improvements, such as the creation of one ADA stall with some minor grading revisions to bring that into compliance. We are removing 78 linear feet of curbing and resetting it to match existing, and we're also removing one existing paved parking stall to reduce the net impervious on site. We have 3 snow storage areas shown on the site in the hatched areas, one at the rear that's fenced in, one in the middle kind of between the loading docks and the front door, and another one at a landscaped area in the front. In addition, we will be screening an existing 9-foot fence with a minimum of 8 feet of screening in compliance with the zoning bylaws. And we're also proposing a dumpster pad at the rear right corner of the building. That's where the existing dumpster currently is. This dumpster will be screened with slats and a chain link fence with a couple of bollards. It's a good spot for the dumpster. As Joe said, overall 18 spots, 12 visitor spots, 4 dedicated employee parking, including that ADA stall with the required grading revisions to bring that into ADA compliance, and 2 stalls for overnight vehicle parking. So just some basic site improvements to improve the site as needed for Site 1's use. That's pretty much a good summary of what we're planning to do. And as well, we are there's no parking striping out there currently, so we're striping in all the stalls and providing a crosswalk from the van accessible ADA stall to the front door of the existing building. I think that's it for now.
In addition, you know, we've been working with Councilor DeMambro. He's provided us with a list of items that he's requested, and over the next couple of days, we'll be providing that information to him as well as the Woburn Fire Department.
Councilor DeMambro.
Attorney Tobby, you and I, we had quite the discussion today, and from what I can see, I visited the site over at 21 Wheeling Ave. The site at 31 6th Street is a much better location for them. They also have a chain link fence over there, approximately 8 feet high at Wheeling. One of my concerns with this site, I noticed there was racking at the other location. There was also some racking leaned up against the building. There's an 8-foot chain link fence. Being that there's wetlands on the back side and on the side, the right side of the building, you and I'd like to discuss more about, because I know they did reference steel racking in the corral area at 31 6th Road. I am concerned with the height and whereabouts top of height would be, top of material height, that is, on top of the rack. My other concern is there is reference to asphalt berm and in the area of the handicap spots, but I noticed there's no other berm on the property in the parking area. My other question was the drainage. Is there a storm drain located on the property, or does the runoff of the rainwater just taper off the property into the conservation area? Those were my concerns up front. My other concern was the snow storage on the back side of the building with the proposed area in the far left corner. There's an access ladder that goes to the roof of the building that snow area would obstruct that ladder if, for whatever reason, any type of mechanical contractor would have to get up on that roof and/or, God forbid, the fire department ever has to show up for any reason. So that was another concern. Other than that, I would like some sort of communication from conservation to make sure they don't have any issues. I saw several references of that in the site plans, and I would also like to hear from my fire services, Lieutenant Mark Smith. I want to hear what his thoughts are. And again, just going through the precautionary measures, as well as there may be no per se dangers with the materials that are stored there. But again, I feel that my fire department should know what's in that building, just in case, God forbid, they ever have to show up on scene for a call.
Okay.
And I anticipate you and I will be working on that in the next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? No? Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is anybody here that would like to speak on this matter, please step forward. Seeing no one.
I'll make a motion that the public hearing be continued to the, actually, I'll withdraw for a second. Do we know when the petitioner may be ready for a?
Attorney Tarby and Counsel DeMambro, do we want to continue this to the 17th or March 3rd?
I think I'm talking about next meeting. I think we should have everything finalized.
Do you, so February 3rd?
Committee.
Correct, yes, sir.
I would like this to go to committee.
You think that works?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
For the next committee meeting, I would like this scheduled.
And then yes, and then what would you like to do for the public hearing? Just, do you want to continue that to the 17th or?
17th.
17th.
We should be. We
You
should have it
don't
all.
think February 3rd?
February 3rd.
The public hearing, February 3rd?
Public hearing, yes.
Yes, okay. Yeah.
So you want to do the February 3rd for the public hearing?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we continue the public hearing and that the matter, until the February 3rd meeting, and that the matter be referred to the Committee on Special Permits. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Next item on the agenda is a petition to determine whether the property located at 1 Winstead Avenue is a nuisance as the term described in Mass General Law, Chapter 139, Section 1. Councilor Bruin had the initial order.
Council Bruin?
Oh, thank you, President Toro. Just for the council's benefit and those folks at home, this property did have a fire a little over a year ago. And it's been just about a year and a month since the fire. Thank goodness nobody was hurt. But the property is in lots of disarray. I think you probably saw some of the pictures that Commissioner Quinn provided. What we're hoping to do this evening is talk to the property owner, if he's here, to find out why Commissioner Quinn's emails and communications have gone unanswered. He did request additional information about the property when the property owner applied for the demo permit, which was not received. So again, the reason for meeting tonight is to see if we can get this moved along. The neighbors are quite upset about what they're having to deal with in the neighborhood. I'm not sure if any of them will speak tonight, but some of them did come down. I hope they will come forth. But that's it in a nutshell. There was a fire on the property. It's a mess. If anyone has been there, I think Councilor Dillon has driven by. I think some of you, Councilor DeMambro, has driven by. It's time for them to take care of this.
Thank you.
Mr. President, if I may,
Yes.
can I make a motion that the council receives those photos from Commissioner Quinn?
I don't have anything.
Yeah, and can
Communication to be sent to him then?
we send a communication to Commissioner Quinn asking for those photos and then a log of the letters?
So we have a motion on the floor that we get communication from Commissioner Quinn to get the photos and a log, and then we have a second by Councilor Dillon. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Do you have a motion to open the public hearing?
So
Second.
moved. If the owner's here, through the chair,
Oh,
yes.
so is the owner of 1 Winston Ave here? Okay. If you could step up to the microphone and state your name and address, please.
My name's Kirk Post. I live at 1 Winston Ave, Woburn, Massachusetts. That was my house that burnt down. I lost everything that night. I've left several calls for you, Darlene. I have not got any calls returned. I've also met with Tom Quinn and spoken with Tom Quinn several times. Right after the fire, I made an arrangement with Tom Quinn that we would go in there, remove the temporary supports that the fire department had placed there. We put more permanent temporary supports in right afterwards. And Tom Quinn also confirmed that he accepted a 6-foot metal fence around the property to be considered safe. At this time, I'm still working with my insurance company. We did have a settlement on the building itself, but there's a dispute going on with the insurance company as far as trying to get it settled as far as the contents. So I can't do anything while my hands are still tied with the insurance company because they have not cleared my contents. But I am actively working towards it. I already have a lawyer in town that's ready to come forward with the permit, because even after I get this settled, I still have to come for a special permit. So I'll be back for a special permit with my lawyer. I also have I already ordered a survey on it, so we've already started getting the ball rolling on that. And as far as the documents that Tom requested back on the demo permit, it's just kind of like being worked through, but there's no rush on my part to get that in because I'm still on hold for everybody else, but it will be there in a timely fashion at what time that time comes.
Okay.
Councilor Mercer Bruin?
Thank you. Through the chair, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm very sorry about the loss of your home. That was tragic, and I'm so glad nobody was hurt, but I have never heard from you. So I don't know what you're referring to, but I do know that
Left the
Tom
messages
Quinn.
on the number that's on the city website.
Yep, that's my number.
I can give you my phone number if you'd like to call me anytime. Anybody has any questions?
So at the
they
end
can
of the
reach out
day,
anytime.
sir, I have not heard from you, and I can tell you that Tom Quinn has told me he has not heard anything from you in a few months. And it sounds like you applied for the demo, but did not supply all of the, I'm reading it. You applied for the demo, but did not supply all of the required information you should, I'm telling you, that's what Commissioner Quinn is telling me.
Okay.
So that's how we end up here tonight. This is not where I want to be. I'm sure this is not where you want to be.
Do you have any
but
further
when-
questions for me?
if Commissioner Quinn is telling me his calls are going unheard, that's a concern. So that's how we're
Tom
here
has my
today.
cell phone number. He knows he can call me anytime. I've spoken to him several times.
Okay. I'm telling you what Commissioner Quinn has told me, that you applied for the demo, but did not supply all of the required information. So, again, you might want to meet with him again.
In the meantime,
President
there's
Borough,
nothing that can be
I'm
done
all set
with the
for this
property while
time.
we're
Thank
still...
you.
And I think maybe some of the neighbors may want to speak. I don't know. I spoke to some of them before now.
Sure. Councilor Dillon?
Yeah. Just a question. In your opinion, how close do you think you are as far as a time frame to getting this settled with the insurance company?
I'm hoping we can have an answer very quickly. It's to the point where we're so far off on the contents that the adjusters, Seltzer and Goldstein, they're working on a overall settlement because it was becoming such a debate with the individual items. So now that it's to that point, hopefully that they can get that settled pretty quickly and untie my hands so I can get this problem corrected, because it's more of a problem for me than it is anybody else in this room.
And you just stated you have a public adjuster working on your
Yes.
behalf as well?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And a lawyer as well.
Thank you, President Toro.
Thank you. Councilor Mercer Bruin?
I just want to also remind you about the trash. I was just advised that that trash is still there. It was there when I went by the other day. I've been advised by the building commissioner that all the trash is still there that he's asked you to remove. So I just want to make sure
Trash
that,
is still content also. So my lawyers have advised me not to touch anything.
okay, it might be helpful if you could provide Commissioner Quinn with some of that documentation.
Tom can have anything he needs. He can request it or call me any day. I'm always available.
All right, I'll make a motion that the petitioner provide the necessary documentation to the building commissioner regarding the lawsuits and what's holding you up.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second for the petitioner to provide documentation pertaining to the lawsuit.
On the motion?
On the motion.
It wouldn't be a
I'm a
lawsuit.
little
Second, sir.
unclear on the procedure here, in the sense of making a motion.
I'll withdraw my
We
motion.
can't require a
Right.
petitioner
You're right.
via motion.
We
I
can't.
think we should
I think that the,
have a formal request to the petitioner, maybe, from the building commissioner, itemizing the documents, so that he can get the information and forward it to us.
So Council Mercer Bruin, would you prefer to send a memo to Commissioner Quinn requesting he send a letter to the petitioner requesting that
President
information?
Toro, what I can do is forward you the copies that I have from Commissioner Quinn in email. And I can make that also in the form of a motion if you like.
Can you forward them to the city so I can have them for the record? I don't have anything for the record.
Okay. Yeah. So back to my original, so the contents of the garbage are related to insurance?
I'm not a lawyer, ma'am, but I've been advised by my counsel not to touch anything on the property.
Councilor DeMambro.
Sir, I'm awful sorry that you're going through all of this, and I know it's frustrating, and I know I can't even imagine what you're going through mentally and everything else with all of this.
I have 4 kids, and that's my home. I want to get this
Yeah.
fixed up as fast as I can, too.
And I understand that, and we're not trying to make it difficult in any way, shape, or form. I would just ask, you do have counsel, would it be okay, and I would ask you respectfully, to have your counsel contact maybe Commissioner Quinn, and they can have a conversation, and maybe they can, go back and forth on what Commissioner Quinn's requiring, and maybe your counsel can take and provide Commissioner Quinn with the necessary documentation.
I just spoke with my counsel earlier this afternoon. He said he did speak with Tom Quinn.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, sir.
If there's anything, documents you'd like from me, just request it in writing so I can make sure and get you exactly what you need.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Do we have a
Make
motion?
motion
to
open the public hearing.
Motion to open
Second.
public hearing, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Anyone here in the audience that would like to speak in this matter, please step forward. Come up, man. If you could state your name and address for the record, that would be great. If you could state your name and address for the record, that would be great.
Kathleen Bowers, 36 Maple Ave, Woburn. I am a neighbor. I witnessed the fire on November 29th, 2024. It was horrific. And again, like we said, it's extremely horrible to lose your home at any point in time. Thankfully, no one was injured, and they got out safely. However, it is now January 20th, 2026. According to the municipal code, it says that a nuisance may be demonstrated by any of the following conditions: burned buildings or structures not otherwise lawfully habitable or usable, dilapidated real or personal property, dangerous or unsafe buildings or structures or personal property, accumulation of litter, rubbish, debris, or trash, or the exterior storage of accumulation of junk, trash, litter, bottles, cans, rubbish, or refuse of any kind. The owners of the vacant properties are required to maintain the vacant properties in accordance with the relevant sanitary building and fire codes, maintain the properties in a manner that ensures their external visible maintenance, including but not limited to the maintenance of major systems, removal of trash and debris, the upkeep of lawn shrubbery, that's a non-issue, repair or replace broken windows or doors, or the boarding up of any doors or windows being prohibited for longer than 30 days. I think we're long past the 30-day requirement for these remediations to take place. I don't understand why that hasn't happened. If fines are supposed to be levied against an owner for not following the guidelines of the city of Woburn, has that happened? And if not, why not?
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else like to speak on this matter, please step forward. Sir, if you can just state your name and address for the record, that'd be great.
James Kennedy, 16 Lillian Street, Woburn.
So I couldn't hear your address.
16 Lillian Street, Woburn. I do offer my sympathy to the owner, but again, it has been over a year. It is an eyesore. I did witness the fire that evening. It was horrific, and luckily everyone did get out safely. And while it is tragic that they did lose everything, it is time to remove the building.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else here that would like to speak on this matter, please step forward.
Hi, Dawn Robinson. I'm at 19 Winstead Ave, just a few houses down. Again, I witnessed the fire. It was horrible, and we don't wish this on anyone, and we feel awful. I just want to reiterate what's already been said, is that it's not only an eyesore, it's smells. There's like chemical burn smells even after this amount of time. There's wild animals running in and out. And it's just unsafe. It's, this little fence around it, and it's just, you walk by it and it's wide open, and you know that things are coming and going, and it's just one day you're like, oh my God, it's gonna collapse, and while somebody's walking by. So it's been way too long. It's, well over a year. So I just wanna emphasize that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak on this matter? Seeing no one. Council Mercer Bruin.
Thank you, President Toro. First of all, thank you to the neighbors for coming down on such a cold night to address the council. We appreciate that, and we hear you. I'd like to request that we continue the public hearing for 1 month. 1 month, which would take us to our February meeting, I think.
February 17th?
Yeah, I was originally thinking March. But it sounds like this shouldn't be a whole lot of issue for the owner to get these things wrapped up based on some of the things we heard tonight. And we'll revisit this public hearing in that time if the council's so inclined.
So we have a motion to continue the public hearing to our meeting on February 7th. Do we have a second?
Second.
17th. It's 17th.
17th, I'm sorry. Yes, the 17th. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You'll get,
Go ahead, Madam Chair.
you'll get notification again, and it'll be in the paper again of the hearing.
We can't,
It's a public hearing.
yeah,
Yeah, we can't compel them.
it's a public hearing. We can't force you to come to the meeting. Yep. Okay.
President-
Council Mercer Bruin?
Through the chair. President Toro, is it okay if I just explain to the neighbors the next step? Because sometimes people don't always know.
Yeah.
So we are going to have another public hearing. People will be allowed to speak. At that time, we will confirm with the building commissioner that everything has been done that's supposed to be done. And if there's anything outstanding, discuss it at that time. And if necessary, continue the public hearing again if things aren't in compliance with what the city wants. If we continue on and things aren't in compliance, then we get to the point where we discuss it, declaring it a nuisance. So I just wanted to make everybody aware that's where we're at in this step. I see some heads nodding. That's why I wanted to make it clear. Thank you very much. Thank you, President Toro.
No problem. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is, the petition by Pulte Homes New England LLC for proposed zoning amendment to amend Section 28 Technology and Business Mixed Use Overlay District, T-BOD, to Technology and Mixed Business Residential Mixed Use Overlay District, T-BROAD, as well as other amendments to Section 28. A communication dated January 14, 2026 was received from John Cashell, the planning director, essentially stating that the planning board has continued this meeting, continued their public hearing until February 10th, 2026.
Do we have a motion to,
Make a motion to receive the communication, make it part of the permanent record.
Second.
motion and a second to receive the communications, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Attorney Tarby?
Mr. President, members of the council, for the record, Joseph Tabby, Woburn Redmond, 500 Unicorn Park Drive in Woburn. We have a PowerPoint presentation that we're going to make tonight, and we do have copies of the PowerPoint presentation for the members of the council, which we'd like to submit for the record.
Motion to accept and make them part of the permanent record?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you. Oh. I like the nice big text, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Maybe the car wash.
Okay, with me this evening, to my left is Essex Petrie of Pulte Homes, Mark Mastriani of Pulte Homes, Matt Leidner of Civil Design, and Bob Nagy of VHB, all members of the development team. As you know, tonight is the public hearing on the proposed zoning amendments. However, at the end of our presentation, our development team will present to you the proposed development in the event the zoning amendments are approved. As you know, this is the first step in the process. Planning Board held its public hearing last week, and they continued their public hearing to February 10th. No. Okay, so just to give you a summary of the proposed zoning amendment, the T-BOD becomes the Technology Business Residential Mixed-Use Overlay District. The goal of the amendment is to provide flexibility to the property owner to expand potential use of the vacant land. The language amendment allows for up to 504 age-restricted home ownership units, which require at least one household unit member in the unit to be 55 years or older, no resident under 18 years of age or younger, parking ratio 1.5 per unit, and the amendment will be accompanied down the line by an updated master plan and development agreement for the area. Just to refresh your memory and for the benefit of Councilor Amaro, the current development at the Vale consists of the following. So I think Councilor, I don't think you were around when this was voted on, so I figure it'd be beneficial to give you an overview. So what is already constructed is 103 independent living units, 84 assisted living units, and 36 memory care units at Delaney at the Vale on the right-hand side of the screen, which is, as you look at the site, up on the upper left portion of the site. The Highland at the Vale, to the left, consists of 197 residential units, 75 townhouses, and 122 residential homes and 3 buildings. In addition, on the lower level, on the 33 plus acres, there is approvals for a 1,041,620 square foot life science campus with a mix of 4 5-story R&D lab buildings, each containing 220,341 square feet, a 2-story GMP biomanufacturing building of approximately 130,256 square feet. In addition, an amenity building of 10,000 square feet that would contain retail, restaurant, and the like was also approved. In addition, in the as you look at the plan in the upper left top of the site, there was a 7-story parking garage that was also approved. Over on the right side of the site, where you see the proposed amenity building for the Del Webb, there was a 62,000 square foot medical office building that used to be occupied by Mass General, which was approved locally, but at the state level was not approved. So as you know, just from, the news and matters that have been before this council, Route 128 North, which is the area we're in, once had a vibrant life science lab market, okay? Right now, that market has very high vacancy rates, and according to CBRE, at the end of 2025, the vacancy rate was 47.4%. Montfield Land LLC, a subsidiary of Lega McCall, has been unable to attract tenants for the million square feet plus development, and as a result, it's entered into an agreement with Pulte to sell the remaining 33.55 acres for the development of a proposed Del Webb retirement community. So in terms of the actual zoning amendment, as you go through the amendment, any place that had T-Bod has T-Broad. The only significant text changes are to 28.6.2.3, which would allow for the age-restricted home ownership of 504 units, subject to an occupancy restriction that no one under the age of 18 can occupy the unit. There were a couple of cleanups, section 28.7. The current ordinance allows for a special permit to increase height. We thought it'd be best to include that now, that the fence height contained in section 5.3 would not apply to fences around dumpster enclosures or to retaining walls. Section 28.8 would set the parking requirements for age-restricted home ownership with a minimum parking requirement of 1.4 units. 1.5 parking spaces per unit. So we go on to the next slide. It's going to be yours, right? Yep. Okay, so what I'd like to do right now is have Essek Petrie just give you an overview of the Del Webb brand and what Pulte would propose in the event that the zoning amendments are adopted.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, councilors. Again, my name is Essek Petrie with Pulte Homes of New England. We are a home builder based out of Westboro, Mass., and we are excited about the potential opportunity to work with the city of Woburn again and bring more residential homes to the Vale. Pulte Homes of New England is a wholly owned entity of the Pulte Group, which is a national home builder with divisions throughout the country. We've been building in the New England region for over 30 years now. And another brand of the Pulte Group is Del Webb. Del Webb is largely recognized as the leading builder of active adult communities in the country. Del Webb is focused on luxury homes combined with resort-style amenities that support a wide variety of active adult lifestyles, and that is what we are proposing here tonight, the Del Webb at the Vale. Del Webb at the Vale will be inspired by countless successful active adult communities as we are consistently enhancing the Del Webb experience through learning and feedback from our homeowners. With over 70 years of experience refining and modernizing our approach to active adult living, as mentioned, we bring resort-style amenities that foster a lifestyle of connection, wellness, and purpose. We've built a number of Del Webb communities within the New England division, including Oxford Greens in Oxford, Connecticut, the Pine Hills at Plymouth, Mass., and our Del Webb at Chauncey Lake Community in Westboro, Mass., with over 700 units that we are currently under construction with approximately 70% complete. And we are excited about the potential to bring a Del Webb community to the Vale at Woburn. So just really quickly, I'd like to talk through the site plan of what we are proposing. This graphic is zoomed out again to show the whole Vale area. Just to quickly orient everyone, the roadway across the top from left to right is Montvale Ave. I-93 runs top to bottom on the right side of the graphic. The existing communities that Joe mentioned earlier can be seen on the bottom of the screen with Delaney at Vale in the bottom right and the Highland at Vale multifamily community along the bottom middle. Access to the site would not change from where it is today. All the Del Webb residents would access off of Montvale via Hill Street to the roundabout. And then additionally, we would propose using the recently constructed Bagan Way, where we would propose two full vehicular access points off of Bagan Way. Additionally, there is an existing utility corridor that runs through the site, which includes newly installed sewer, water, and power infrastructure. And we are able to take full advantage of all of that existing infrastructure. In fact, we actually keyed our design process around being able to take full advantage of that and not having to disturb it or tear it up or redo any of it. So the building program includes 8 condo buildings with 5 floors of living over at-grade podium parking garage with 63 units in each building for a total of 504 units. As has been noted, this is proposed as an all age-restricted housing. Means no units, the units must be occupied by at least one household member 55 years or older and no resident under 18. A key benefit to the city of Woburn is that these are all home ownership condominiums. There are no rentals associated with this. And this is a housing type that is in short supply, really not only in the city of Woburn, but across the region. And it's a great opportunity, we feel, for the city to benefit by increasing the inventory of this type of housing. So just touch upon some of the more of the plan highlights, particularly related to the amenities. In the top right-hand corner, you can see now we're zoomed in more particularly on the Del Webb at Vale site. The top right-hand corner, we're proposing a large clubhouse, which would include a gathering room, a fitness room, other activity rooms and meeting rooms, and that is further amenitized with an outdoor pool, sizable sun deck with fire pits and grilling areas. In the top left corner, or to the northwest, we are proposing more active amenities, including pickleball courts, bocce courts, and along with a shaded pavilion area to accommodate residents who are waiting for their opportunity to play, or just there to watch, or are just there to enjoy the proposed enhancements included along the Sweetwater Brook area. Additionally, towards the middle of the site, you'll notice an expansive community green that we really see as the centerpiece of the Del Webb at the Vale community. We are still conceptualizing all that it could be in this location, but we envision extensive landscaping, sitting areas, walking paths with lights, potential for a pavilion, and maybe a larger gathering location. But we feel it will serve as an impressive aesthetic amenity as well as passive recreation space. Including that community green spread across the entirety of the 33 acres, we would propose to include over 20 acres of open space on the site. I've mentioned a few times the focus on active adult lifestyle, and paramount to maintaining that lifestyle is the full-time on-site lifestyle director. The lifestyle director manages clubs, creates clubs, and really cultivates an atmosphere that welcomes activities and events that fit the desire of all the residents. The lifestyle director at Del Webb Communities manages an extensive activity program that could include pub nights, blackjack nights, poker nights, musicians, artists, ping pong, etc. There's a wide variety of activities that are typically proposed. They bring their own schedule of activities, but they also are successful by responding to specific requests of the residents for clubs or activities. So again, just to detail the residential elements, again, it's 8 buildings of residential with 5 stories each of residential over podium garage, 63 units, 504 total units across the site. Each building is less than that 70-foot height and is in compliance with zoning height requirements. From a unit mix, it's a fairly balanced approach with 240 one-bedroom units and 264 two-bedroom units. The units range in size from about 1,000 square feet to 1,600 square feet. Again, not a common size available for home ownership opportunities today. From a parking perspective, we are proposing a roughly 1.7 spaces per unit parking ratio. We do have a lot of experience building multifamily housing, particularly age-restricted housing in the New England region, and we've found that 1.7 spaces parking ratio is kind of the sweet spot for our homeowners. Find that it's an appropriate balance where we're not stuck with an empty sea of pavement, but we're also not in situations where residents are limited and we can't meet their needs for parking. We also recognize that parking ratios are often a topic of discussion when we present communities to municipalities, and there's absolutely opportunities, particularly at this site, for flexibility if the city would prefer to see less parking on the site, or there's also opportunity to expand the parking if that is the city's preference as well. The parking breakdown is made up of, there's 50 spaces in each of the garages, as well as 57 surface spaces associated with each of the buildings. Additionally, there is supplemental amenity area parking at both the clubhouse as well as the active recreation area on the other side of Sweetwater Brook. So just want to make a note that we want to make sure that when we're considering development on the site, we're not comparing this proposed project to existing conditions or no construction. So we wanted to put together this comparison table showing, as Joe mentioned, the approved life sciences and biomanufacturing project compared to what we are proposing here with the Del Webb at the Vale. And we just wanted to call out a few key data points and project impacts. These are often some of the key talking points when we're looking at planning new developments, and we wanted to demonstrate some of the reduction in project impacts when comparing the two. Starting off with the impervious surface, we are proposing 3 acres less than what is currently approved. From a parking perspective, we are actually a third of the amount of parking that was approved for the previous use. And from a building footprint and building massing perspective, we're proposing roughly half of what is currently approved. And from a municipal infrastructure perspective for water and wastewater generation, we are producing less than half of what is currently approved, significantly reducing the impact on the municipal infrastructure. So, as Joe mentioned, we recognize that we are at the very beginning of this coordinated review process, which we are excited that we got it started with the planning board last week and here with you, the council, tonight. And we also just added this picture on this slide in particular to show as a reminder of that there has been great progress at the Vale with the Delaney residences on the bottom right, the Highland at Vale residences in the middle, and again, the already disturbed site kind of in the middle. It's currently vacant aside from the dirt piles. And this is the site that we are excited to transform and turn that empty space into a beautiful active adult community. Again, we met with Planning Board last week. We're here in front of you tonight. As part of that step one of the review process, we recognize that first step is to discuss the amendment of the zoning. Without that next step, there's really no step forward. But if we are successful in that, we look to immediately move into step two, which would be pursuing local approvals through an extensive site design and review of our site planning with both City Council planning and also recognizing there will be a notice of intent process with Conservation Commission. And at the same time we are pursuing those local approvals, we would be working with state and federal agencies to address any of the existing permits that are there, looking to opportunities to either renew those or if it's required that we open up new permits with those various agencies, whether it's MEPA, MWRA, MassDOT, Army Corps, etc. And just to touch upon the team that we put together to help us accomplish all this work. It's a well-established team of professionals with significant experience working with the city of Woburn, working with Pulte, and in particular working on the site at the Vale. A civil design group led by Matt Leidner will be managing our site design and civil engineering. VHB will be handling our transportation impact analysis, and Rob is here tonight and he's going to talk to you in more detail about traffic-related impacts. And Rob's coworkers at VHB will be supporting us on the efforts associated with natural resource analysis, including that coordination with CONCOM and MEPA and any work associated with the Sweetwater Brook work. Dan Coughlin of Coughlin Environmental Services, whose office is just a few miles from here, will be working on our wastewater and water engineering. And of course, we've got Joe Tarby of Rubin Rudman here handling our legal services. So before I turn it over to talk to Rob about transportation, I just wanted to touch upon some of the additional early analysis that we've been working on. We have partnered with Mark Fougere of Fougere Planning to develop a fiscal impact study of the project. Mark has decades of experience providing fiscal analyses for public and private sector clients while developing a deep industry knowledge. But his analysis is also based directly on local feedback. As part of his research, Mark contacts the appropriate city staff, including police, fire, emergency services, that help inform his fiscal analysis. And so what we're showing here is a fiscal summary that balances the projected tax revenue with the projected municipal expenses associated with the project. So as you can see across the top, the project is anticipated to create over $3 million in property and excise tax revenue at full build-out per year for the city. And based on Mark's conversations with police, fire, and others, it's anticipated that the project would also create about $520,000 in municipal expenses, which results in roughly an expected $2.8 million year-over-year revenue for the city of Woburn at full build-out. And recognizing that there is a construction period associated with that, that table at the bottom demonstrates projected revenue throughout that construction prior to full build-out. And again, just noting that this is the revenue on a parcel that's currently sitting empty, and as Joe had outlined, and just to reiterate, it's approved for a use that is really bottomed out in the Boston Metro area. There's a glut of vacant life science and R&D buildings in Boston Metro, and the market shows really no sign that a buyer would be willing to invest millions to construct new space on a vacant site. And just lastly, before I turn it over to Rob, just wanted to touch quickly upon some work that the city has recently embarked on relative to the City of Woburn's housing production plan. We've had the opportunity to review the draft of this plan, and we have found that we really feel that our Del Webb community aligns well with a number of the objectives and findings that were identified in that housing plan. Just a few of the highlighted areas. It was noted that much of the existing housing stock is made up of larger single-family homes, demonstrating the need for homeownership homes of a smaller size. Additionally, there was notes that the residential vacancy rates identify that demand currently outpaces supply, and that housing variety in particular is a key barrier from keeping workforce that's in the city to live in the city. These units will really help Woburn fill an identified need for not only the city of Woburn, but really neighboring communities that are lacking in this type of housing stock. One of the other things that were identified in the housing production plan was a note that one of the constraints that was identified was based on zoning restrictions, particularly in areas where there is existing municipal infrastructure. Those are two of the key factors for development, zoning and infrastructure. We have water and sewer readily available on this site, ready to go, and that's what we're here for tonight, is to work with the council on a potential for a zoning amendment to help us move forward. So with that, I appreciate your time. I want to turn it over to Rob, talk transportation.
Good evening, council members. My name is Rob Nagy with VHB. Address is 260 Arsenal Place in Watertown, Massachusetts. I've been associated with this project from the beginning when Leggett McCall first started looking at the site, and recognized, certainly, I think part of the reason why I'm up here is that transportation was an issue and a concern back then, and I suspect will probably be something that you want to hear a little bit more information about. So I'm kind of here to preview a little bit of that with you as we think about this project in general. But if we go back in time a little bit to when the original commercial project was permitted, from a transportation perspective, it was permitted in phases. A certain amount of development was allowed on site, with a certain amount of off-site roadway improvements being put in place. And as the project advanced, there were elements that sort of went in lockstep with that: additional development, additional improvements, et cetera. What's remaining under the initial phase of the project, the first phase of the project, as I think Councilor Tarby mentioned, was about 100,000 square feet of additional research and development space is yet to be developed on the site, and about a 62,000 square foot medical office building, which I know came before this council, several years ago. Unfortunately, didn't move forward. And what was associated with that development was what you see in the column on the left here, the remaining Phase 1 commercial development, which included about 3,500 additional daily trips of traffic coming in to and from the site, about 250 peak hour trips during the weekday peak periods, and a lighter amount of traffic on the weekends. This project, the 504 age-restricted units that are being proposed here, generates in totality about half of what that project would have generated under the Phase 1 portion. Not looking forward into the future and the additional traffic that would have come with that. It's about 1,600 daily trips, about 100 morning peak hour trips, and you can read it off the slide as well as I can. About 1,400 Saturday trips, which is a little bit more than what was originally projected as part of the commercial development. But that makes sense, because as you think about residential development, it generates traffic on the weekends, whereas commercial development tends not to generate much traffic on the weekends. So there's a little bit more activity during the Saturday condition. We recognize that. But it's at all the other phases, the critical phases, the peak morning and evening peak hours, you're about half of what was going to be generated by the original development under just the first phase of it. Recognizing that there's a lot of need to sort of backstop that information. That information is based on projections that we get from the Institute of Transportation Engineers. We also wanted to recognize that, hey, listen, that's good. The forecasted numbers are good. But what is there any comparable units, any other developments that Pulte in particular has owned and operated that we could compare the project to? And we actually went out to North Reading. They have a facility out there called Martin's Landing. And we went out there and actually observed traffic coming in and out of that site particularly. It's got 502 units, so it's a couple units short from what is being proposed here. And the numbers are remarkably close to what is being proposed here. So not only do we have the theoretical numbers of the Institute of Transportation giving us the numbers that we project and expect to see here, but when we went out and actually looked at a development that has about almost the exact same amount of development units there, we found the same numbers were coming and going from that site. So we're really confident that the information that we're sharing with you today is clean. It's what you will see with a project of this type as you move forward. I will note that the original project, just as we go back into the Wayback Machine, did bring along with it a significant amount or I should say, an amount of off-site roadway improvements that were important to this area, to Montvale Ave particularly. That included a widened Hill Street. As you think about Hill Street in the past and what it looks like now, it's definitely a nicer roadway. Will be the front door for this facility and will continue to operate really well. The traffic system along Montvale Ave, particularly at the 3 intersections, the northbound and southbound off-ramps to 93, as well as Unicorn Park Drive, were all interconnected and upgraded from a traffic capacity perspective. There were a significant amount of safety upgrades, particularly over at the northbound ramps that were implemented as part of that project. There was improved connections to some of the transit uses out there. The MBTA operates some bus routes. The park and ride lot on Hill Street was cleaned up and lighted and improved significantly from what it was. And then the connections to and from the bike trail that runs along the frontage of the site were also made. And we do envision that this project will tap into some of those resources as well as you think about it. We also went out and sort of watched traffic out there. I think that's something that, as counselors, I'm sure you've done in the past, and something that we wanted to make sure what we were seeing out there is consistent with what you're seeing. The good news is many of the traffic signals out there, the intersections that we studied and projected traffic volumes for as part of our 2017 studies, are consistent with what we were looking at. In fact, they're operating in many cases a little bit better. I suspect some of that has to do with the changes in traffic patterns associated with COVID, but at the same point in time, I think that some of the intersections out there are operating better than what we had projected they were going to operate at this point in time. There is still some congestion out there. We're not certainly ignoring that. We recognize that is part of the, something that we want to continue to keep our eyes on, particularly the northbound left turn movement. The left turn movement onto the northbound on-ramp underneath the bridge, going north on 93 is something that we have some. We continue to see some congestion there and how that sort of spills back. One of the nice parts about a residential project like this is it doesn't generate traffic in the evening. When that movement is congested, in the evening, the residential project isn't generating a whole lot of traffic leaving the site, it's more bringing it into the site. So you wouldn't be impacting that particular movement in any great fashion, much more like you would with a commercial development. That said, there's still a commitment and an expectation from this development team that we'll continue to sort of watch traffic out there. As you saw with the fiscal estimates, this is an 8-year, potentially 8-year sort of build out as they build one building each year on this site. It'll give us an opportunity to react, see what's happening out there, react and come back to this board or other city entities and talk to you about how we might be able to, if issues are identified, how we might be able to address some of those as we go forward. So there is an opportunity here to continue to monitor and evaluate intersection performance as we go through this process, confirm the information that we've been sharing with you and we expect and hope to share with you as we get into the real permitting of this project, and look forward to sort of continue to work with you as a board, as a council, moving this project forward. So with that, I will turn it back over to Councilor Tarby to wrap this up.
Thank you.
Okay, so that ends our formal presentation for this evening. We're glad to answer whatever questions you may have.
Councilor Papalato?
Thank you, President. As the counselor in this ward, I've had the opportunity to meet with these guys a few times. First-class operation. The property, first-class operation. Everything is beautiful. You've done a great job with this. What we need to decide is, does this fit into Woburn? And does this fit into, more importantly, the tax structure and the tax classifications of Woburn? because there's a big impact on this thing that we need to weigh as we make our decision going forward. So I have a few questions, and I did study the tax classification guide that we went through a couple weeks back, and there's a lot in there that I had to learn about and decipher, but the first few questions I'll have directly for you folks, and then it's around the classifications and different things around the taxes. So the first question is, there's 504 units, and there's 1 and 2 bedroom units. So what would you say would be the average cost of each of these units?
Essex or Mark, you want to?
Thank you, Counselor. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a frustrating answer because it's going to be a little bit drawn out. I apologize, but it's not an easy question to answer at this point in time. Obviously, with us just beginning our conversations on a potential zoning amendment, needing to go through a permitting process, we are, year, 2 years out from any potential sales or marketing efforts. That being said, I can give you some gross estimates based on kind of what we would be thinking at this point in time, and one of the benefits that we are able to provide as part of this type of housing development is that within each of these 5-story buildings, as you mentioned, there's a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units. There's going to be a wide variety of pricing structure in those. So a 1-bedroom on the first floor is going to be wildly different in its cost structure than a 2-bedroom on maybe the 5th floor or the 4th floor based on where they're located. So that does allow for a variety of different demographics and home buyers to be part of it. So really what we're looking at is a range of somewhere at the low end between 500,000 and 600,000, with potentially up on the high end of potentially 800 to 900. And again, each of these units, I want to make clear on that high end, it would be based on a buyer's preferences. When a buyer selects a potential unit, there is a pricing structure based on the location of it within the building, whether which floor, what it faces, which side of the building it's on, and then within that there would be additional options that would give that home buyer the ability to increase, whether it's a chef's kitchen or some additional upgrades.
500 to 900 in that range, depending on
Exactly.
floor,
Yes.
how big, and all this kind of thing.
Yes. Correct. Yep.
How many low-income units are you planning to incorporate into the site?
Yeah, so the zoning amendment as proposed did not propose any affordable units because the T-BOD indicates that the age-restricted units are not included within the affordable component. The existing T-BOD language.
So you're not planning to put any?
So at
low-income units?
the planning board meeting, that issue came up, and we're open to having a discussion on that, so.
Right now, there's no plan to do it, but you're open to discussion.
Correct.
Okay. I think you depicted it properly when you talked about the demand of city services, police and fire and other things. I don't know if those are good numbers or not, but we have to factor that in as well because it's going to be a drain on the city services here. And just as an aside, the units that are already at the Vale, what's the vacancy rate?
Thank you, councilors. For the record, Mark Mastriani. I work with Essex Petrie at Pulte Homes and was heavily involved at Highland at Vale. So the vacancy rate, so there's, of the 122 garden-style condos that are in the 3 garden-style buildings there, there's approximately 5 units left for sale that are available. In the 75 townhomes that Pulte has constructed at the Highland at Vale, there's 3 available left for sale at the end of the project.
So you have pretty good vacancy in those areas, it sounds like.
So of the 197 units, there's probably less than, there's somewhere between a half dozen units that are available for sale that we would expect would be sold in the next 30 to 60 days.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So some of the tax components of this, so, and again, I'm going back to the tax classification hearing. Just a reminder, the residential rate is $9.15 per thousand. Commercial tax rate is $21.43 per thousand. So you can do the math to see, they've already done the math, in fact, to show you what they believe would be the tax ramifications on Woburn. But when you look at those rates, the commercial rate is 2.34%, 2.34 times the residential rate. So there's a big shift in there, and we need to consider that when we're looking at the details here. Some other facts, last year, 75% of our assessed value was residential, 10% was commercial. That has nothing to do with this site, this is existing. This is gonna continue, the residential will continue to grow as we keep getting these jammed down our throats with the MBTA projects, the ADUs, and whatever else is coming down the pike. So we have to keep that into consideration. Last year, we collected $50 million in personal property taxes. Personal property taxes, they're attached to only the commercial units. You don't get that benefit off of the residential. So we need to keep that in mind. If we rezone this lot to commercial, from commercial to residential, in future years when we go to do the reclassification, there's going to be less commercial. So when we say we're going to shift the 1.75 number that we shift, we're going to be shifting it to a lower number, unless we can beef that commercial up. So we need to factor that all in. The other thing we need to worry about is this excess levy capacity. I know how fluid you are with all that, but that has a big impact on things. Last year, we went down by $6 million. So as that, we need to make sure that doesn't deteriorate, because if it does, we're getting into Prop 2.5 discussions, and we don't want to go there. So another factor, a city that was in a similar situation to this was Waltham. And that was a number of years back. They had the exact same situation where there was no move to build out commercial properties. They sat on it. And what ended up happening was, it's where Market Basket is as you go down 128, and there's a Ruth Chris in there, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in that area. And I think that they've flourished as a result of being patient and waiting before they made any move like that. So the one last comment I'll add here is that last week, the 8th of the month, in the Boston Globe, there was an article that talked about the biotech industry and the fact that it's starting to loosen up a little. That doesn't mean that they're growing everywhere. Some of the slides they put up there talked about vacancies and all that, and I believe every word you put up there. But there's starting to be IPOs happening in that space. There's mergers and acquisitions that are happening in that space. And then when you start to look at some of these weight loss drugs that have been coming out in pill form, there's going to be a need for more and more of these as we go forward. So I just point these things out as kind of points of clarification that we need to consider as we make our decision going forward. Thank you.
Mr. President, could I just
Yes, Attorney Darby.
clarify a couple of things? This is a proposed zoning amendment to add this use to the T-Bod. Okay, so we're not rezoning it all residential. Okay, it still leaves the T-Bod in place except for this.
So what percent of the lot would be residential?
What percent? Well, if this gets developed, it'll all be residential.
Okay.
But it's not rezoning the property. Number two, the impact, I know there's going to be impact on police and fire, but we did have a study done in which Mark Fougier spoke to both the police department and the fire department. And with this project, the estimated calls would increase with the police department by 223 calls annually. And to put that in perspective, okay, the police department now receives 82 calls per day. 223 calls translate to 4.2 calls per week. On the fire department side, the fire department gets 110 calls per week. Our project would anticipate 2.6 calls per week. So I just want to, put that out there as well. I know there's an impact, and we've taken that into consideration when we've calculated the proposed taxes. And then, we did include in the PowerPoint a number of articles from the Boston papers in terms of what's happening in the life science. There was an article on, actually yesterday, that was in Banker and Tradesman, where it was the article that I quoted in my presentation, and that lab vacancies in the Route 128 North submarket stood at 47.4% at the end of 2025, according to the CBRE report. So I just wanted to make those additional comments, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Bruin?
Thank you, President Toro. First, I would like to commend Councilor Papalato for the detail that you just presented and the thoughtfulness that you put into it. Because at the end of the day, housing variety is key. What we have here in this package is not more variety for Woburn. What we could use here in Woburn is some more single-family homes. So I'll say that right off the top. The other thing I want to mention is you mentioned traffic won't be a problem. Traffic is already difficult during the week. You say it won't be a problem on Saturdays or maybe even Sundays. That's just nonsense.
I don't think
at the end of the day, all of these people that live there are going to want to, and we want them to, take advantage of all of the things that we have here in Woburn, like our amazing restaurants and all these sports activities and all of that. So in order to get to those things, they'll have to leave on Saturdays and Sundays. We spent almost 20 years, maybe a little bit longer. It started with, at the time, Alderman Medeiros. And then almost 18 years after I was elected, we finally got the improvements on Montville Ave. Let's not go backwards. Those improvements, that's it. We can't go back to that well, so we should proceed with caution. It's already a tough situation over there, for sure. The number of units, when I heard not be included in 40B, I'm not sure how that impacts us, adding these units but not adding affordable housing. Does that take us out of safe harbor? I would need to ask somebody who knows a lot more about this than I do. I certainly know a lot about 40B, but I would go and speak to the planning director personally about it because I'm not comfortable with it at all. So I just have to say I think I agree with one thing. Housing variety is important. I don't think this proposal gives us that. And that's all I have to see for now. I imagine we'll be going to committee.
Mr. President?
Yes, go ahead, Attorney Faber.
So in terms of housing variety, the only other 55 and over project that I'm aware of in the city is St. Joseph's Church. Okay, that is 55 and over. So this is a variety where you have to be 55 and over. It's home ownership, which is different than Highland at the Vale or 316 New Boston Street or, Emblem 120 or Avalon or any of the other projects. So I I respectfully disagree. I think this does provide the city of Woburn a variety where, you know, some of us in this room could buy a unit in at the Vale if it eventually gets approved. So,
President Dover?
Go ahead.
Some of us
Councilman
might also decide to buy 3 or 4 units at the Vale and rent them. So I'm not sure, you know, you can talk about condominiums and its home ownership. It doesn't stop anyone from renting them out and changing the dynamics and all of those other things. So everybody at home needs to remember that as well, and so does the city council. Again, I know you guys have a great reputation, but at the end of the day, I think the city, for all the reasons that Councilor Papalato stated, and some of the ones that I just brought forward, we really need to proceed with caution and ask for housing that we know we do need. Thank you.
Council Viola?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Councilor Papalato, for all that information that you gave. I'm concerned that there's no affordable units, but also, on top of that, I'm concerned that the police and fire are going to be up there even more than what they are right now. If you listen to the police scanner daily or whatever, you're going to hear the fire, the police are up at the Vale helping somebody multiple times a day, if not getting multiple calls at the same time. So that's putting a strain on the fire and police as it is, putting in this large of a development for 55 plus, which people that are probably more medically fragile, I'll say, it could put even more of a strain on our city infrastructure as it is. But going forward, I'll keep an open mind, and thank you.
Council Dillon?
Thank you, President Toro. Thank you, Councilor Papalato. You had a lot of the points that I actually were going to ask, and you clarified them, as well as did Councilor Mercer Bruin on the 40B safe harbor issue. And again, we will check with John Cashel and see where we lie with that. But Attorney Tybee, do you have any information as far as staying in safe harbor that we've worked so hard, how to maneuver that in layman's terms, that we can kind of at least gauge it tonight?
yeah, no, I don't have the exact, figures tonight at all, but I want to make it clear, Pulte does not want the city to fall under the requirement. Okay, so we want to work with the city to make sure that there are affordable units at this location that do not put your safe harbor in jeopardy.
Thank you. Just a couple other questions, if I may. I did receive a couple calls on the 55 age requirement, and again, I explained them, but I'd like you to explain it. They felt that it was not legal in Mass to require someone to be 55, that it's discriminatory. I looked it up, but you guys do this all the time, so I'll look for the explanation from the experts.
I'm going to let Essex
Thank you.
respond to that.
If I could, Council President. So this is based on the act called the HOPA, the Housing for Older
Correct.
Persons Act, which of 1995, which amended the Fair Housing Act specifically to allow that. So it does not consider it any sort of an age discrimination. This is specifically allowed under that HOPA Act. And we build 55 plus communities, and there are numerous other developers that build them all the time as well.
Thank you. And my last question, the Del Webb brand, is that just like a brand that Pulte uses, or was that a company that Pulte acquired?
It's a brand that Pulte uses across the country,
Okay.
specifically for these style communities.
So that wasn't a company on itself that Pulte acquired at some point?
No.
Thank you very much. That's all I have. Thank you.
Council Demirs?
Thank you, President Toro.
Sorry, excuse me. I apologize. I was mistaken. Pulte did purchase Del Webb previously.
Okay, thank
I
you.
apologize for that.
Not a problem.
Council Dillon, anything further based on that?
No, I'm good. Thank you
Council
very
Demirs?
much.
Thank you, Mr.
Appreciate it, President.
So just for the record, I think when we had the debates and considerations of the Tachi proposal, that came before us, I think the update that we had received on our standing within 40B was that we were at 10.36%. That's pretty razor close to the 10%.
Very
number.
close.
So affordability is going to be an issue on this project for me, definitely. I mean, one positive I saw from it, even though that, you know, I think this council trusts traffic studies almost like we trust weathermen, is that there would be a net criteria, or net based on your criteria that you used of a negative 1,491 trips. Whether that is to be seen is another question. The other concern I have is the impact on 911, as some of my colleagues have already said. I would like to know more, maybe in committee, relative to what the study showed, if we could have that, the study, and what criteria was being used. Was it being used on a general property, or was it being used based off of 55-plus communities that you have experience with? Because I think, you know, additional calls on our department, that seemed almost, the study that you referenced and the numbers seemed a little low compared to what we see here in the community. And I think, you know, it's difficult in Woburn right now because we're not seeing these types of projects come into our community and Woburn people benefiting from them. We're seeing a lot of folks from out of town being able to afford these units and coming in. So as we as a council sit here and weigh these projects, what benefits do we have in Woburn? I get the tax revenues there, okay? But the people that are paying higher taxes here in the city don't see their sons or daughters being able to afford housing in Woburn. Don't see on their budgets being able to afford to buy a condo like that, within the price ranges that you're speaking about, especially the 2-bed, because I think that would be a popular thing. I'm willing to keep an open mind, but again, to Councilor Papalato's points, there's a lot of concern there with, we've got to think about the future. And when the revenue estimates were gamed out about 9 years, that doesn't do much for us right now. It's attractive in the long run, but the benefit of that, or the sticker shock of that, won't probably look the same 9 years out. And, you know, I don't mean to be fresh, but I'll leave this with one thing. It was like, you know, I smirked and giggled a little bit when you said, as a developer, you said, you know, we need more housing. And it just made me think of an old sign I saw at the barber shop, where it'd be like, you never ask a barber whether you need a haircut. You know, it's just one of those things where there's the trust level people in the city have to have, that we're not supporting overdevelopments that, while it looks, the sticker looks pretty good right now, what will it impact us in the long run? So I think a lot more discussion, and I'm very thankful to hear that you're willing to negotiate on the affordability piece, because I just think that's crucial for us, especially with Chapter 40B, because I know my colleagues will even say it. We don't have much faith in the state holding on to that number at 10. It's a moving target, and, you know, I've been accused of being a fearmonger on this one issue, but the way that people have somehow blanketly trusted the way the state operates, and that they won't take another hosing on the cities and towns, it's just something that we're going to have to really peel back the onion on to take a look and protect our residents. But I'm willing to hear more at committee, and I thank you for your presentation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor DeMambro.
So I'm kind of torn on this, and I appreciate my colleague's presentation. Councilor Papalotti did a great job. We talked earlier today. We've been talking about this a few times, you and I. I see the traffic component, and it is far less than having a commercial building. But I also see the tax revenue from having a commercial building down there, by which we need the revenue during, you know, where we're at in the climate right now in our city, and our responsibilities and our financial responsibilities. We can't keep burdening our residents and offsetting this tax burden onto them. So I see that component. But again, I also see that there's also approximately 200 units, townhouses in the Pulte division of townhouses, as well as condos, and that sets up on a hill. When you look down and we hold out for these commercial or residential buildings, which incidentally, we have probably 1 million square feet right now available for lease. That's a guesstimate, but I know we have quite a few buildings along Olympia Avenue. They're up in New Boston Street. They're up on Commerce Way that are for lease. So it concerns me that, would a commercial component go back to that area like we once had proposed with Mass General and that proposal? But being that there's already established townhouses and condos that people paid a large amount of money for, are they going to be in opposition to that if these petitions should come forward in front of us? I think we need to keep that in mind. It wasn't too long ago, Councilor Demers, at the Davis proposed project at the showcase, the residents were approximately, correct me if I'm wrong, 200 feet, maybe 250 feet away. There was tree cover, there was a tree line, there was fencing. They were willing to put up trees and arborvitaes and everything, and sound barriers and walls, and to contain even the hardware up on the roof. The residents didn't want it. That was on level ground. People that are paying 1.5, 1.7 million for a garden-style townhouse, they're not going to want to look down on top of mechanicals on top of an industrial building. So I'm keeping that in mind as I roll this around. But then there's also the component for the affordability factor, which you folks seem to be willing to take and work with our city, because we don't want to fall below that and then have the state pressure us to do more. So when you kind of wrestle with it, there's pros and cons on both, and I'm wrestling with both of them, and especially the traffic component. You put an industrial building in there, we get higher tax revenue at 21% or $21, but you're going to increase your traffic by 1,800 vehicles, according to what I'm seeing here. So people complain about the traffic all the time. It's been from what I've observed from Woburn Heights, Emblem 120, I drive around the city every single day. I never see anybody entering or exiting these facilities. And if I do, it's maybe one in, maybe one out. So it's not like there's going to be 1,000 cars rushing out. I don't know what the age, your average age, even though it's 55 or older. Are these folks semi-retired? Retired completely? Are they homebodies so that they don't have to go out numerous times a day? You look at Place Lane, there's not a lot of traffic going in and out of Place Lane. So these are the things that, as I've been listening to the presentation, I'm looking at the numbers, but I'm also reminiscent of the Davis proposal at the showcase. And I wrestle with what the neighbors fought back on with that. So again, do we sit and do we wait? And I ask my fellow councilors, we have commercial and industrial buildings already in existence that are unoccupied, some of which have been unoccupied for years. They're not moving. They've slapped paint on them. They've resurfaced the pavement, restriped it. Still not moving. Still sitting there. So do we wait for that pharmaceutical company? Do we wait for that AI? Do we wait for that data center by which we don't have enough power to power it up anyway, so then we're going to have to wrestle with that component, by which we're going to have to bring power in? Who's going to pay for it? The state's not going to do it. Residents sure and hell aren't going to do it. So where does that component play into to get an advanced technology company that needs or requires a ton of power? So how long do we wait? Meanwhile, we have bills. We all have them, including our city. The costs keep rising. So how long do we wait? 7 years? 8 years? Do we go through another crisis? Do we go through another pandemic? Do we do something else that's going to set us back? These are all things that I'm weighing. And it is 55 or older, so it's not a burden to our schools. But yes, it would be a little bit more pressure when it comes to our first responders, and I understand that. But we also have to keep in mind, Counselor Viola, that the Delaney group, that's 55 or older in one section, and then it's, advanced with medical attention in the center, and then there's full-time care on the back end of that. So that's a pretty robust, it's basically a nursing home. So you have to keep that in mind too. It's not just 55 or older. There's a whole nursing home component up there. So these are all things that we're wrestling with, and I'm wrestling with. I will keep an open mind. I do want more information, but that's where I'm at right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Do we have a
Motion to open the public hearing?
motion to open the public hearing? Do we-
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Anyone here that would like to speak on this matter, please step up. Sir, please state your name and address for the record.
Sorry, Anthony Ferrante, 5 Mason Way. So I'm in Highland Vale. So just to give a little perspective, I'm probably not going to say, finally get to meet you in person. I'm not going to say everything I originally planned to say, given how this has gone, but just to give you kind of my perspective as somebody who lives at Highland Vale. I actually think it'd be great to have residential down there. We're really isolated from the rest of the city, and we'd feel, it'd be a lot more like being part of the city if there were houses there. So from that perspective, I actually like the idea. Right now, the nearest houses are right over the fence in Winchester. So I would actually love to see that. What I think we can all agree, or most of us at Highland Vale can agree, is we don't want to have a gravel pile for the next 10 years while we wait for biotech. I read the same article about things looking up in the biotech industry. I was laid off in October of 2024. I just got a part-time gig. I don't think it's come, and all of my contacts are unemployed or thinking they're going to be unemployed soon. So I don't have as much confidence as Councilor Pappalardo. I wish I did. But right now, I think as an over 55 person, I'm semi-retired against my will. And then my other real question, so I kind of like the idea of improving the traffic flow a little bit. I think the road is a bit narrow, and I'd love to see as we go through community development, if this moves forward, if anything moves forward, how we can improve that. We want open space in the community. I think that's great. And then one other thing that did not show up in this plan, it's part of the master plan. It's personal because it's literally right outside my deck. There was a space and a hill that right now is just construction fill. And whatever weeds grow in construction fill. It's supposed to have topsoil, it's supposed to have trees, it's supposed to have shrubs, grass, and wildflowers. That would hide whatever the heck goes in on the other side of Beacon Way. If that's not part of this project and it's the responsibility of the owner, then I would love to know how we put pressure on the owner to do that, preferably this spring, because I don't want to wait 10 years for that either. If it's not the responsibility of the owner and it should be tied into the Vale project, which is what I originally understood to be true, I want to make sure it doesn't fall off people's radar screen. And that's pretty much it. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else here that would like to speak on this matter, step forward. Seeing no one.
Make a motion that we continue this public hearing to March 3rd, and we send it off to the Committee on Ordinance, Charter, and Rules.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
On the motion? I'd like to send a communication to the police and fire departments requesting a call log for how many times they've been up to the Vale from January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025.
We have a motion and a second to send the communications to the fire department regarding the call log.
Correct.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Back to the original motion. We have a motion and a second to send this to committee and to continue the public hearing to our meeting on March 3rd. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Next item on the agenda we have on the committee reports is on the Committee from Personnel, the appointment of Simon Minor to the Commission on Disability. The committee report received ought to pass.
Make a motion the committee report be adopted.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
From Public Safety and License, the Shamrock Running Club special event permit. A committee report received ought to pass.
Make a motion the committee report be adopted.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
The petition for 2026 renewal of first-class motor vehicle sales license for WMKLC DBA Mobility Works on Washington Street. A committee report received ought to pass.
Same action.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On the petitions for 2026 renewal of second-class motor vehicle sales licenses by various companies, a committee report received ought to pass.
Make a motion the committee report be adopted.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Under communications and reports was the Building Commissioner's quarterly nuisance report, which was dated January 2nd, 2026.
Make a motion the matter be received and placed on file.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On the reappointment of Timothy Donovan to the Commission on Disability, a communication dated January 6th, 2026 was received from His Honor the Mayor.
Make a motion the committee, the matter be referred to the Committee on Personnel.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
On the appointment of Jared Fallon to the License Commission, communication dated January 15th, 2026 from His Honor the Mayor.
Same action.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Being nothing left on the agenda.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.